In today's video, I'm going to be going back to my roots and keeping things as basic as possible, as you guys can follow along as I carry out a weekend wash on a Volkswagen Fox. Now I've got a whole host of products from a company called Expert 60, and I know what you're thinking, who on earth are Expert 60? I've never heard of them. And to be honest, neither had I. But it turns out that these guys have got over 30 years experience, and that got me thinking, I wonder if it's any good. So this is the car we're going to be testing out some of these products on today, and it's a 2009 Volkswagen Fox, and the red paint is starting to fade and go a little bit patchy in places, so I'm going to be testing out their very own polish, and I'm also going to give it a little bit of added protection with Liquid Shield. But before I do that, I need to give it a good wash and remove the road tar, but because this is a car cleaning basics video, I'm going to be ditching the snow foam and replacing it with the Expert 60 TFR. With the British weather once again being unpredictable as always, I knew this was going to be an awkward clean. But before I got started, I had to fill up the buckets with water and go for a wee, but after a cheeky smile I was ready to get cracking. The wheels and arches were job number one, and we got two wheel cleaners to feature in this video. One's going to be used as a tyre cleaner because in previous testing I found this to get the right results that I needed. And the other one is called Phoenix, which is a fallout remover / wheel cleaner, which is something we're starting to see a lot more of these days. And why not? Because it works for most people. For the tyres, I'm using my trusty tyre cleaning brush to deep clean those pores while Phoenix was doing its magic, and then I jumped straight onto the brushing of the wheels with my soft brush. And thankfully during this part of the cleaning process I had enough cloud coverage, and believe me, it makes all the difference because tyres can get warm so quickly and you do need to be quick before it dries out. I was happy with how the wheels came out. It wasn't too much of a gel formula that I'm used to, but it had impressive cleaning power nevertheless. As you may notice, for this video I'm back on the Karcher Expert 7125 because I have tremendous guilt just leaving it in the shed. I've been getting so carried away testing out lots of fancy machines and lots of fancy gadgets, I've just had it sitting there. So for this video I am going back to basics, and I'm going to simulate what most people are going to have to deal with because not everybody has a snow foam cannon. For the arches I'm using Mach 1 TFR, which did a good enough job of eating the mud from the arches before I gave them a blast. With all the wheels and arches done, I had to do the usual roll the car forward manoeuvre just in case there was any bits that I'd missed. And with them done and dusted, it was time to shift over to the door shuts, and once again I'll be keeping it simple and using the TFR and turning down the power slightly on the pressure washer. And that was just to reduce me getting carried away splashing the inside. I was well chuffed with the door shuts as it didn't require much work, so it's time to get a wriggle on with the rest of the pre-wash and spray the lower third with TFR. And I was interested to see how this would perform, as most people do often say that some TFRs can fade paint, so this was a big test for it. And while we're on the subject of TFR, I have put together a video which compares TFR versus snow foam, and that is coming very soon, so if you haven't already done so, then make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn on those bell notifications. So we completed the wheels, door shuts and lower third of the VW, so it's now time to get physical and get my mitts out and give this car a well-deserved wash. And because the sun decided to come out right at the exact second that I had to wash the car, I had to start on the shady side first, just to avoid any drying or staining. So because this was the first time trying this shampoo, it was better to play it safe. So I'm using the 2-bucket method here, but honestly, if your car doesn't mean everything to you, then seriously don't fret about it. And I know that sounds odd coming from someone who does this for a living, but I'll be honest, my own car is an absolute hole. So there's no point in using 2 buckets, because even if I used 1,000,000 buckets, it would still look buggered. And if it's just a runaround car, then I wouldn't lose any sleep over it. So it's all about how much you value the car and what it means to you. But when you do it for a living, then it does make sense to use 2 buckets, because the last thing you want to do is go and scratch another client's car. My wash mitt that I'm using here is coming to the end of its life. As you can see, it's starting to go thin, so the molecular structure inside is weakening, and it's always good to replace them every 6 to 8 months and demote the other ones to wheel cleaning or door shuts. When it comes to washing your car, you don't need loads of tools. Just a mitt and a brush is normally good enough for most people, and bugs can easily be removed with a good citrus pre-wash. And this TFR, in fact, did a great job of shifting them too. So it's important to remember, if you're on a tight budget, this product can be very versatile, and it can ultimately save you quite a bit of money. And what you're about to witness here is the world's first wash mitt kickflip, which I nailed, by the way. After showing off some insane car cleaning skills, I got on with the job at hand, and the last thing that was left to do for the washing stage was tackle the lower third of the VW. Then finally giving the doors one last wash before retiring this wash mitt. Normally at this point I'll bring out a ceramic detailer, but because I had to give this a full tar removal treatment and a decent polish by hand, I had to dry the car as standard using my drying towels. And these ones I'm using here are my large waffle weave drying towels, and I'll put links to every single product used in this video in the description below. And for drying the door shuts, I use my trusty blue Auto Smart towels, and I always tell people to colour code all their towels because it will help you quickly identify which towel is good for each job. This road tar remover doesn't come with a trigger, so you basically pour it onto a cloth and spread it around the area. Then you've got to wait for a minute or two to do its magic before wiping it away. Now, it wasn't the most powerful formula, as I have used others before which have been mega aggressive, and for me I feel it's safer just to use a spray, let it melt away and then wipe it, because you're going to reduce the risk of getting any scratches. But having said that, it wasn't difficult, and I was probably just being a little bit picky. With the road tar all gone, I then had the task of polishing the car with their very own Super Nano resin polish. So let's talk about this polish. Well, I have been trying it out for the past couple of months, and it's simple to apply, and yes, there were at times where I was getting the odd bit of white powder, but that was only when I left it on a little bit longer than I should have, and I was doing it in direct sunlight, and they also say do not do this in direct sunlight. But for your average Joe who doesn't have that luxury, I had to put myself in the same situation to see what results they could achieve. And anyway, it's only a little bit of powder. It's not as if you got Kate Moss waiting to sniff the remaining bits off the rubber seals, so it's not going to bother most people. So I got to a stage where I was happy with the polish and how it looked, but then I needed to put on another spray on top, because one of the major factors that I noticed was you could not find any information anywhere about this polish in terms of durability. So I had to use another product called Liquid Shield to apply it, just to give it up to 3 months protection. And it was a basic spray on wipe off formula, which is something which I'm quite used to, and I know a lot of people at home will probably like to use that method. And if anybody's used ceramic detailers, it's quite similar to that in terms of the effect you get when it's finished. With the bodywork looking pretty damn impressive, I was ready to tackle the tyres. Now, instead of using a tyre gel, I decided to go for this product, which is a tyre moisturiser. And yes, at first it does look like a delicious Greek yoghurt, but I tell you what, you are going to see more and more of these creams making their way onto the market for 2022. So we had the direct sunlight on the tyres, which was causing a little bit of an issue, so it did take a couple of attempts to get these tyres looking great. But once the moisturiser had set into the tyre, the results were looking absolutely beautiful. And there's something I like about this product, and it's not just the cream itself, it's also got a nice little pot for your sponge to go in, and it's nicely packaged too, so it's a massive tick from me. Okay, before we jump into the final results, I just want to clarify a couple of things. No, I didn't receive any money from Expert 60 to make this video, and no, I didn't receive any money to clean this car either. I did get the products for free, which I'm very grateful for, but I wanted to make this video because I wanted to do a nice thing for my neighbour. I wanted to be kind, and she couldn't physically clean a car herself, so I thought, why not? Why not put a smile on her face? And I want to urge you guys at home to go and do exactly the same thing. Go find a friend, a relative, or a neighbour, whatever. Just go out there, go clean their car for them, if you got the stuff of course, and go put a smile on their face. It's not much to ask, there's so much negativity and people who are sad at the minute. Just go do something nice. It's a simple thing to do. But anyway, back to the video and back to the end results.